Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanaतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome back to Wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam sessions. Last week we have completed chapter 2 and we are going to start with this chapter 3 today, which is entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Now this chapter has 44 verses and we are going to try to finish that chapter in this session, one session. So we'll see how it goes. Most probably, I think we will just read 3 or 4 verses in this chapter in Sanskrit, but most of them, for the remaining verses, we'll just read the translations. So before we go ahead with the third chapter, in the last session, we covered chapter 2 from verses 16 to 34. And in those few verses, we saw the 9 stages of devotional service from Shraddha to Prem. And we also talked about the 14 stages of devotional service, which is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And it starts from Satam Krupa. So it starts with the mercy of the devotees, then it progresses to Mahat Seva, where we can serve the devotees, and finally we get Darshanam, the Lord's Darshan. So from after Ruchi Asakti Bhava Prem, we also get Darshanam and Harer Madhuryanubhava. We understand the sweetness of the Lord. And in that section, we were looking at that even if we do not have affinity to hear the Krishna Katha, still we can develop that affinity. How? Just by associating and serving the pure devotees of the Lord. So this is the key. So this is where it starts. So everywhere it is mentioned, like in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is glorified to hear Krishna Katha. And by hearing Krishna Katha, all our anarthas are going to go away. We can develop the love of Godhead. All of this is mentioned. But what if we do not have the affinity to hear? That affinity can be created by association of the devotees and by serving them. And in association, we will actually get their desires. And that is how the transfer of desires, through the transfer of desires, we will also develop the affinity. We will also like to now hear after that. And then we saw the gunavataras of the Supreme Lord, and we saw in mode of goodness, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he maintains the world. In the mode of Brahmaji is ruling the mode of passion, and he creates. And Lord Shiva is ruling the mode of ignorance, and he destroys and highlights. But even after all of that, we saw that we should still worship the Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu, because he is the only one who can give the ultimate good. So he is the only one who can give the liberation. And we also saw those verses where we understood that Lord Krishna or Vasudeva is the essence of all processes. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya. So many things that we saw. So we should worship the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. He is the only one who is able to give us liberation. And previous great sages as well have followed this path. And we talked about the 12 Mahajanas, and we should follow in their footsteps. So in the last section of the second chapter, we saw 2 questions were answered. So there were 6 questions by the sages which were asked in the first chapter. In the second chapter, we saw that 4 questions were answered, and the first 2 questions were answered in 1.2.6 and 7, and the third and fourth questions were answered in the last section of the chapter 2, where we saw that one of the question was, why did actually the Supreme Lord appear? Like, why did he actually take so many incarnations? So the answer was that he appears to reclaim those people who are in mode of goodness, this mode of pure goodness. And one of the other question was, what was the activities that the Lord performed in Purusha avatāras? And that we are going to talk again in this chapter as well, in the third chapter. So the reason why the Lord appears in Purusha avatāras is to manifest the material world. So that is what we saw in the second chapter. Now we are going to move on to the third chapter, which is entitled, as we mentioned, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And it's the overview of this chapter. Mainly the first 5 verses, we are going to talk about Purusha avatāras. Then 6 to 27th verse, from verse number 6 to 27, we are going to see 22 incarnation, Leela avatāras, and that is where one of the questions of Shaunakadi Rishis is going to get answered. So 5th question will be answered there. Then Krishna is the fountainhead, like this is the emperor verse or Paribhasha Sutra 1.3.28 that we are going to see. Kṛṣṇas tu bhagavān svayam. And then 30 to 39, we are going to talk about Virat Rupa of the Lord. And in the end, some glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and also answering the last question, 6th question of Shaunakadi Rishis. This chart is from Bhagavad Subodhini. So those who have it, they can just refer to it from Bhagavad Subodhini. Okay, let's begin the chapter. The first verse, I'm going to just read this Sanskrit verse because it's a beginning, but for almost all the other verses, we are just going to read the translations only. So please be ready for reading the translations. So first verse, Suta Uvacha, Jagruhe Paurusham Rupam, Bhagavan Mahadadibihi, Sambhutam Shodasha Kalamat, Sambhutam Shodasha Kalam, Adau Lokasi Srukshayaha. Who wants to read the translation? Yes, Bhageshwari Mataji.
Suta said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was a creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Karanadakshayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu has been explained. In these first 5 verses, we are going to see the role of Purusha avatāras. So the first one, this verse is talking about Karanadakshayi Vishnu. And for creating the universe, he created the Mahat Tattva, which was comprising of 16 principal elements. So the 16 principal material action for the purpose of material creation he created. And what are the 16 principles? 5 gross elements, which are earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the mind. So all in all, total 16 principles were created. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that how Karanadakshayi Vishnu is creating this and then enters in it. But one of the important section in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that this material world is created for the living entities, because living entities wants to enjoy separately from the Supreme Lord. But he mentions specifically that there are two choices. The Lord creates this material world for our enjoyment, but at the same time, he gives the knowledge by which we can understand our real constitutional position. So if you come to second paragraph. In the second paragraph, in the middle, you can see that it is mentioned, the chance to enjoy matter is given to the conditioned souls in the material world. And side by side, they are given the chance to understand their real constitutional position. So we have been given choice in this material world. We can just do material enjoyment, sense gratification, or we can take the path by which we can understand our real constitutional position, to understand that we are spirit soul. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are his servants, and we should offer some service to him. So we have been given this choice as well. So Srila Prabhupada actually mentions further that those who are very fortunate, they surrender to the Lord and go back to the spiritual world. And from there, then they never come back. But many of us just remain entangled in this material world, and they get merged in the Mahat Tattva at the time of annihilation, and then come back again when the creation happens again. And the Lord just looks at the Mahat Tattva, and then that is how he impregnates that Mahat Tattva with all the jivas inside it. So those jivas who remain entangled in the material world, then at the time of annihilation, we again go back into the Mahat Tattva, and like inside the body of Mahavishnu. And then when the creation happens, again we are put into this material world. So that is how it happens. So please do not wait for annihilation, thinking that at the time of annihilation, we will get liberated. No, no, it is not the liberation that we are going to get. If at the time of the annihilation, if our material desires are still not finished, we again enter into the material world when the material creation happens. Okay. Um, I'm not actually going to take questions today if in between. Apologies, because there are so many verses to do. So please note down your questions. Do not forget them. And at the end, when the time permits, we will do it. There are 44 verses we want to cover in 2 hours. That's quite a lot. Okay, let's move to the second verse. Who wants to read? Yes, Adidevi Mataji, please go ahead. And then Uma Mataji or Vidushi Mataji. And I think there was one hand raised by Sudharma Mataji as well. So you can do Pamendra Prabhu next and Brijesh Shiva Sadashiv Prabhu next. So many people. I won't remember the sequence. You remember and you read. Adidevi Mataji, please go ahead.
So am I reading just the translation, Prabhu?
Just the translation for verse 2.
2. Okay. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem. And from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest.
Thank you, Mataji. So as you can see here, the part of the Purusha. So part of the Karanadakshayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu is now entering into the universe. So this is referring to Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. So the second Vishnu expansion is Purusha is mentioned. So second Purusha Garbhodakshaya Vishnu appears from Karanodakshaya Vishnu, enters into each of the universe, and when they enter, like Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters into the universe, he finds there is no place for him to rest. So what he does, he fills up half of the material world with his perspiration. And on that perspiration, then on that water, he lies down. So that is the Garbhodaka ocean, and on which the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is lying down. And from his navel, the lotus comes, that we always talk about, that the Brahma is born on that lotus. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the one from whose navel the lotus comes, and Brahma is born on it. And then Brahma does the secondary creation, empowered by the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And from this Garbhodakshayi Vishnu comes the Shirodakshayi Vishnu, which is the third Purusha avatar, who's the Paramatma in all living entities. And he also enters every material thing, every material object, even the atom. And this Shirodakshayi Vishnu is called Hari. He's the Paramatma. And from that Shirodakshayi Vishnu, all the incarnations come. So all those incarnations which appear into the material world of the Supreme Lord, they come through the channel of Shirodakshayi Vishnu. So that is how it works out. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, as you can see on the slide, is part of the Mahavishnu, lies on the water of universe, and from his navel Brahma takes birth. So third verse. Let's read the third verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. Right?
Thank you, Mother. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu has entered into that universe, and that is when the universe has become lively. And then Shirodakshayi Vishnu is also entering all these material objects. But that doesn't mean he has material body. The Supreme Lord has material body. So in the last session, we were talking about how universe is the body of the like the material creation is the body of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, or the universe is the body of the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu because he has entered in it. And then the living entities inside that body as well, the Shirodakshayi Vishnu is entering. But as you can see, in the body, like in this material body, we have soul and the super soul. So we say that this material body is actually belonging to the soul. But this is not the body of Paramatma. Paramatma is actually everywhere. So for the beginners to understand that the Lord has form, that is why this universal form is explained. So this particular verse is now talking about the universal planetary systems, sometimes is referred to as the body of the Supreme Lord. But that is not the reality, because the Supreme Lord has nothing material. His body inside out, he is inside out spiritual. But for the neophytes, to make them understand that the Supreme Lord has form, sometimes it is mentioned that, oh, this particular planet is his, and the eyes, like sun and moon are his eyes, and then this planet is his arms, and then the rivers are like the veins in his body, and the trees are like the hair on his body, or something like that is explained as his universe in the universal form. But all of that is imaginary. It is not real. His body is eternally spiritual. So that is what is mentioned in this verse. Now in the next verse, Virat Rupa is explained, where like the kind of Virat Rupa was seen in Bhagavad Gita. So that was mentioned. Okay, let us go to fourth verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary, divinity. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and nose. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So the devotees with their perfect eyes, they see the transcendental form of the Purusha, having thousands of eyes, legs, thighs, heads, ears, etc. Everything is mentioned. And all the heads, the thousands of heads have thousands of helmets. They have glowing earrings and adorned with garlands and all of that. Now, this particular form which is mentioned is not the imaginary form which was mentioned, which is the which was material. But this is a transcendental form in this fourth verse, which is mentioned. That is why it is mentioned that only the devotees can see this kind of form. Like Arjuna saw in Bhagavad Gita when the Lord gave him the potency to see that form. And in Srila Prabhupada mentions that in Garbhastuti, all of these Sahasra, Shirisha, and all of that is referred to. So which is actually recited by in all the yagyas and everything that is done. So Purusha Sukta. So that is where all of like this form of the Supreme Lord is glorified and mentioned. Let us go to the fifth verse.
Text 5. This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnation within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Actually, here it is mentioned that the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the source of all incarnations. But we can understand this. Actually, the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is the source of all incarnations, but Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the source of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. So it can also be said that the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the source of all incarnations. So from this Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu comes. From Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, all incarnations comes. So that is how it works out. And all the devatas, including all the living entities and everyone is coming from these Purusha avatāras, and then they are getting manifested. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the long purport that he has written here that there are 6 kind of appearances or incarnations. So one category of incarnation is Purusha avatāras that we have already seen. The Mahavishnu or Karnodakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. That is the first category. The second category is the Gunavataras that we have seen in the second chapter, that the Lord manifests for controlling the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So he comes as Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. So that is Gunavataras. Then, of course, there are Leela Avataras, that is the third category. We are going to see the 22, or some of them are Leela Avataras, like Matsya, Kūrma, Rāma, Nṛsiṁha, Vamana. They are all Leela Avataras. And the fourth category is Manvantara Avataras. So there are each 12 hours of Brahma, there are 14 Manvantaras. And in each Manvantara, there is a Manvantara avatar, like Yajna, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikuntha, all of those names are mentioned in the purport. You can refer to them. All 14 names are mentioned. And then there are Yuga Avataras, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came in Kali Yuga as a Yuga Avatar of Kali Yuga. So there are Yuga Avataras like that. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that for the 4 yugas, the avatars come in different color, like variety is there, color variety. So in Satya Yuga, he comes as in white color, bodily complexion. In Treta Yuga, he comes in red. Sometimes it is mentioned that he comes in green. The Dwapar Yuga, he comes as in black, as Krishna. And in Kali Yuga, he comes in yellow. So that is Yuga Avatar. And then the fifth category, or was it fifth or fourth? Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, Leela Avatar, Manvantara Avatar, and Yuga Avatar. So Yuga Avatar. So last category, sixth category, Shaktyavesh Avatar. So sometimes the Lord doesn't appear with all his opulence. He just empowers some of the living entities with some of his own opulences. So he is giving his Shakti to some of the living entities, and then that is called Shakti Avesh Avatar. So some particular Shakti is invested into the living entities, and those are called Shaktyavesha avatars. For example, Narad Muni is Shaktyavesha avatar of Bhakti Shakti. He gives bhakti to everyone. So he has this Bhakti Shakti. So if someone meets Narad Muni, then they are very fortunate because they are going to get the Bhakti Shakti from him. Parshuram is also another Shaktyavesha avatar. He's a living entity and he's a Shaktyavesha avatar. He has the Shakti of Dushta Damana Shakti. So all of these Shaktis are mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Leela, in 20 and 21st chapter, mainly 21st chapter. So Dushta Damana Shakti. Then Kumaras, 4 Kumaras, they are also Shaktyavesha avatar, and they have the Shakti of Jnana Shakti they are invested in. Prithu Maharaj is also Shaktyavesha avatar, and he has a Palana Shakti. So like that, many Shaktyavesha avatars are given a specific Shakti. And apart from the 6 categories of avataras that we saw, there are also Vibhutis. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we saw so many Vibhutis. Now those Vibhutis, they are also like Shaktis which are invested in the living entities, but they are not in large quantity. So when there is a lot of Shakti invested, then they are Shaktyavesha avatar. When little Shakti, then that is, they are called Vibhutis. For example, Arjuna is also considered a Vibhuti. So amongst Pandavas, Krishna said that I am Arjuna. So he is also, in a way, he has Shakti of the Supreme Lord. But he is not Shaktyavesha avatar because he has little Shakti invested in him. So all of those avataras which are, Vibhutis which are mentioned, they are also have all the, like the Supreme Lords, some of the potencies in some quantity. So that is why this purport is so long, and Srila Prabhupada has given all of these different kinds of incarnations that come. Okay, let us move to now 6th verse. Now from 6th verse onwards, from 6 to 25, from verse number 6 to 25, there are various different incarnations. 22 incarnations are given. Now, widely, many people talk about only Dasha Avataras, and they don't know anything beyond these 10 incarnations of the Supreme Lord. But there are these 22 which are mentioned, and these are not like Krishna doesn't take only 22 incarnations. He has unlimited incarnations. But at a high level, there are these 22 mentioned, and there are many more. And then it is mentioned in the end that there are unlimited incarnations of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom all of these incarnations come. So we are going to see this section now from 6 to around 28, 29. But from 6 to 25, we can see these 22 incarnations. Let us start with verse number 6 translation, which talks about Kumaras. Who was next? Have we finished all those who were supposed to be?
I think it was me, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So these 22 incarnations that we are going to see, just an overview of them. So we are going to have now verses on 4 Kumaras, Varāha avatar, then Narad Muni, Naranarayan Rishi, Kapila Dev, then Dattātraya, Yajna, Rishabha, Prithu, Matsya, Kūrma, Dhanvantri, Mohini, Nṛsiṁha, Vamana, Parshuram, Vyasadev, Rāma, Balaram, Kṛṣṇa, Buddha, and Kalki. 22. Okay. Now we can go to verse number 26. No, I'm just joking. So these 4 Kumaras, as we mentioned, they are Shaktyavesha avatar, and they have Jnana Shakti. So they remain celibate, they remain brahmacharis, and then they perform severe austerity to teach the process of Brahman realization. And we will see in the 3rd canto, we are not going to actually go into details of any of these avataras here, because this is just an overview here. and more details are coming in the later part of Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, for Kumaras, we'll see in the 3rd canto how they appeared, and in the 4th canto, we'll see some of their teachings as well. Okay, let's go to the next verse, 7th. Vidhi Mataji, you had your hand up, and then Mahendra Prabhu, you can write.
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation, and for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Now, when it is saying first incarnation, second incarnation, it is not like a chronological order that is how in that sequence they appeared. They are just talking about this is the first incarnation, second incarnation, because it is just a list of 22, but it is not in that sequence that they appeared. So this particular verse is talking about Varaha avatar. See, Varaha avatar is a Leela avatar, and as we all know, he lifted the earth from the nether regions, and we will see more about Varaha avatar in the 3rd canto. And there are actually 2 Varaha avatars, so we will see about them in the 3rd canto when we reach there. Okay, next verse.
Krishna Prabhuji. In the millennium of the Rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the 3rd empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Narad Muni, we are going to extensively see his charitra, his life in this 1st canto itself, how he appeared and how he came into Krishna consciousness. All of that we are going to see in this 1st canto. He's a Shakti Avesh avatar, almost like everyone in this Srimad Bhagavatam. You will see that he's the guru of almost everyone. He's the guru of Vyasadeva, he's the guru of Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, whoever comes, like Prachetas, everyone, he has given some advice. And that is why he has this Bhakti Shakti. Whoever comes in contact with him, they become bhaktas, and not ordinary bhaktas, they become pure devotees. That is such an amazing personality Narad Muni is. And he's referred to as Devarshi. So he's the sage amongst the devatas, demigods. And it is also talked about like how he wrote Narada Pancharatra to inspire non-fruitive actions. So almost all the Vedas are filled up with the fruitive actions that you do this puja, you do this yajna, and this is the material benefit that you can get. And most of the people get attracted to that kind of fruitive activities. But Narad Pancharatra is free from these fruitive activities. And it is inspiring everyone to take the path of bhakti, of not like doing activity as a service to the Supreme Lord. Yeah, let's go to the next verse. Who's next? Yes, Vidushi Mataji, then Pamendra Prabhu, and then Gaurachandra Prabhu or Mataji. You can. 9th verse.
In the 4th incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus, they undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses.
Thank you, Mataji. So Nara and Narayan Rishis, they are the twin sons of King Dharma, and they did exemplary penances to control their senses. We are going to talk about more about them in Canto 4, and also when we reach Canto 11 and 12. At that time, we will see more about Nara and Narayan Rishis. Verse number 10.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The 5th incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfect beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmanas. In the course of time, his knowledge had been lost.
So it is talking about Kapila Dev, who is the son of Devahuti. So we are going to see in Canto 3 his teachings. But here it is mentioned that he also actually gave this Sankhya philosophy to a Brahmana called Asuri. It is not Asuri Brahmana, like he was Asur, but his name was Asuri. So he's a Brahmana whose name was Asuri, and to him this knowledge was given, but in the course of time, this knowledge was lost. And then afterwards, like this, another Kapila came, who is not the real Kapila Dev, which is mentioned in these all these places wherever Kapila is mentioned. But that Kapila then actually gave this other Sankhya philosophy, which is not the authentic one. Good. Let's go to the next one. Verse 11.
The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarika, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Hayaha, etc.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that how Anasuya, so Dattatreya is the son of Atri Rishi and Anasuya, and how Anasuya prayed to the Supreme Lord. But she prayed to all three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, and asked for a combined. So, my lords, if you are pleased with me, and if you desire me to ask from some sort of blessing, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. So she asked for a son who is a combination of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So that is why when we many times, like if you see Dattatraya's temple, Lord Dattatraya's temple, he will have three heads of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And it is mentioned that he gave knowledge to Alarka, Prahlada, Yadu, and others. Okay, let's move on. Verse number 12. Who's next?
Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, Asoka Mata. Please go ahead.
Prabhu. The seventh incarnation was Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Uti. He controlled the period during the change of the Swambhu Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So his Yajna is the son of Prajapati Ruchi and Akuti. And in the period of Swayambhuva Manu, there was a period when there was no right person who could take the position of Indra. So at that time, Lord expanded himself as Yajna and he occupied the position of Indra. So that is when this pastime happened. So we will see more about Lord Yajna in 4th canto. And he performed the service of Indra at that time, and he was accompanied and he was helped by other devatas like Yama. 13th verse. Who's next?
I can do Prabhuji. That's okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabhi, and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation of the Lord, in this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. Thanks.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. So it is referring to sannyasis. So those who are in the sannyasa order, for them, he showed what is the path of perfection. He is a son of Nabhi and Meru Devi, and he showed the path of perfection. He was very renounced, and we will see more about King Rishabha in Canto 5. Let's move on. Verse number 14. Yes, Gaurchandra Prabhu and then Sudanma Prabhu.
O Brahmanas, in the ninth incarnation, the Lord prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produces for that, and for that reason, the earth was beautiful and attractive.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Prithu Maharaj, we are going to see again in Canto 4, very elaborately. Very wonderful personality, Palana Shakti. He is a Shakti Avesh avatar with Palana Shakti. And he, before him, his father, King Vena, was ruling everything. And because he was not a good ruler, the earth had actually taken everything back. And that is why there was a scarcity of everything. But when he came, he cultivated the land to yield various different produces. And earth became beautiful and attractive again. So, his glorious and his everything, the teachings and the prayers and everything we are going to see in Canto 4. Let's go to verse number 15.
When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected the Vaivashvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. So Matsya avatar is mentioned. It's a Leela avatar. So generally at the end of Brahma's 12 hours, like end of his day, this annihilation happens. But also in between the Manvantaras, like in 12 hours, there are 14 Manus. So this Manvantara period, in between those as well, sometimes there is some partial annihilation happens. Now some Acharya says that only sometimes it happens, but Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that no, between all Manvantaras, there is some partial annihilation happens. So anyway, between these Chakshusha Manu and the current Vaivasvata Manu, like currently that we are in the period of Vaivasvata Manu. So the 6th Manu was Chakshusha Manu. So between the Chakshusha Manu and Vaivasvata Manu's period, there was this inundation and the whole universe was filled with water. So at that time, the Lord appeared as Matsya avatar and he saved Vaivasvata Manu, whose name is Satyavrata. So Satyavrata, he saved and he put him on a boat and then he saved all of those people guided by this Matsya avatar. Yeah. And we will see more about Matsya avatar in the 8th canto. Next verse. 16. Sudharma Mataji, go ahead. Your hand is still up. That's okay, you can still read.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
16th verse.
The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theist and the atheist of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so thank you, Mataji. So this is about Samudra Manthan Leela, which is going to come in 8th canto. So churning of the ocean happened and they wanted a rod. So Mandarachala hill was put as a rod for a churning rod for the ocean. And Vasuki was used as a rope. And on both sides, on one side, there was Devatas, and on the other side, there were demons who were using that a churning rod. But that rod was falling off because there was no support for it. So then Lord came as Kūrma avatar. And as you can see in this photo, so he gave the support. He became the pivot on which then it was resting. That Mandarachala mountain was resting. And you can see on top of that, there is another incarnation of the Lord who is Ajita. Now that Ajita is not even mentioned. That is why it is mentioned that this 22 incarnations is not the entire complete list. There are many more which are not mentioned here. And then because Kūrma gave that support, then the churning could happen. And then these two other incarnations which are coming in the next two verses, they appeared because of that. Let's go to verse number 17.
In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Dhanvantari, and in the 13th, he allowed the atheist by churning beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigod to drink. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So from this churning of the ocean, nectar, everyone was actually doing this for getting this amrita, nectar. So Lord Dhanvantari came out of this ocean holding the pot of the nectar. So that is Lord Dhanvantari. And then this nectar was stolen by the demons. So Mohini Murti came. And in the Mohini form, the Lord appeared as Mohini, as a very beautiful woman. And she allured all these demons and then took the nectar and gave it to the Devatas. So that is how we will see that all in Canto 8. Let's move on to the next one. Who's next? Yeah, Mataji, go ahead, and then Bhageshwar.
And in the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Nṛsiṁha and bifurcated the strong body of atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter bears his cane.
Amazing. This analogy is given. So Lord Nṛsiṁha Dev, everyone knows, he killed Hiranyakashipu, but it is said that he killed him just like a carpenter pierces a cane. Like a small cane, the carpenter can easily pierce it and actually separate it out. So that is how with his nails, Hiranyakashipu was killed. Let's go to the next one.
In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana Vamana and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaja Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the three planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land.
Yeah, so Vamandev as well. Most of you, actually all of you would be knowing this pastime of Vamandev. So he appeared, like the Lord appeared as a dwarf, small child, Brahmana. And he asked Bali Maharaj, who was performing the 100th Ashwamedha sacrifice. And after that, he would have occupied the position of Indra permanently, like for that period. Of course, he had already defeated the Devatas and he was occupying the position of Indra, but he wanted to remain on that position. So that is why he was performing the sacrifices. But Vamandev came and he just asked for 3 steps of land. But in the heart, he wanted to actually take everything from him. So you all know that pastime, but we will see that in Canto 8. Verse number 20.
In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Bhrugupati annihilated the administrative class Kshatriyas 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class. Thanks, Prabhuji.
So Parshuram is mentioned here, Lord Parshuram. He is a Shaktiavesh avatar and he is a son of Jamadagni Rishi. So he is also called as Bhrugupati or Jamadagnya in the purport. Srila Prabhupada has referred him like that. And he annihilated the Kshatriyas 21 times. He got rid of all Kshatriyas from this planet Earth 21 times because he was very angry with them because they went against the Brahmanas. And we will see more about Parshuram, Lord Parshuram in Canto 9. Yes, Mantramulam Prabhu, go ahead. 21st.
Thereafter, the 17th incarnation Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva, appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parasara Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have talked about Vyasadeva before, and we will talk more about Vyasadeva in this first canto itself. He's a son of Parashar Muni and Satyavati, and we have talked a lot about that how he is the editor of Vedas. There was one Veda, and he's split them into or categorized those verses properly into 4 different parts: Samaveda, Yajurveda, Rigveda, and Atharvaveda. But then he also wrote the Puranas, 18 Puranas. He also wrote 108 Upanishads and Mahabharat, and even after like Vedanta Sutra, and even after that, he was not very happy. That is when Narad Muni guided him and asked him to write Srimad Bhagavatam, where only the Supreme Lord is glorified properly. And the process of bhakti is given so that people don't get confused what to do from all the scriptures that he had written. So Vyasadeva. Let's go to the next one.
In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Rāma in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited supreme human power by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Everyone knows about the story of Ramayana. So Lord Rama appeared to please the Devatas, and then he controlled the ocean, and then he killed finally Ravana. And that is how, and we will see a little bit more about, like very briefly, Lord Ram's pastimes are mentioned in Canto 9. So we'll see that when it comes there. Now comes Krishna Balaram. Okay, next verse.
In the 18th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balarama and Lord Kṛṣṇa in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world.
Yeah, so here Balaram and Lord Krishna is mentioned. Only in this verse, like these 22 incarnations are mentioned, but only in this verse, they are referred to as bhagavān. Balaram and Krishna both are mentioned as bhagavān here. So Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. And when we go to 28th verse, we will see why Krishna is called as bhagavān. So Balaram is also called as bhagavān because he's the first expansion. And then from him, all of this Purusha avatāras and everything is coming, the Chaturvyuha and all of that. So he appeared in the family of Vrishni and removed the burden of the world. So you all know the pastimes, and we are going to see the pastimes of Krishna elaborately in Canto 10, but also many places Lord Krishna is mentioned. So we will see that, like in the first canto as well, Lord Krishna comes. So we will keep seeing that. But Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead, and the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is written so that we can know more about Lord Shri Krishna. Let's move ahead.
Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theists.
So Lord Buddha is mentioned here, and it is mentioned he will appear, because this was written almost like 5,000 years ago when Vyasadeva was putting it into a written form. So it was mentioned that he will appear, and we know that Lord Buddha appeared. So so that actually also shows the infallible nature of Srimad Bhagavatam or the Vedic scriptures, that the Lord appeared as Buddha. And it is mentioned that, like it was mentioned specifically who is going to be the mother, where he is exactly going to be appearing. His mother's name is Anjana, his province, he will appear in province of Gaya, so that it is easy for us to understand who is Lord Buddha. Otherwise, many people will come and they will claim that I am Buddha. For example, the Kalki avatar, which we are going to talk next, it is going to come at the end of Kali Yuga. But people are now itself, they are starting to claim that they are Kalkis. So we can clearly know that when he is going to appear, what are his parents' name, where he is going to appear. All of this is mentioned in the scriptures so that we don't get fooled by people. So he appeared. So it is mentioned that for deluding those who are envious of the theists. So at that particular period of time, the atheists were like, even though they were followers of Vedas, some of those, they were not actually for understanding the essence of the Vedas, and they were just going into slaughtering the animals. So that is where he wanted to start from the basic. He said that these are all advanced understanding you are not able to grasp, and that is why I will introduce the basics of morality first. That ahimsa paramo dharma. So from his perspective, he just propagated that like that. So non-violence. First, stop killing these animals. Because where is the point in killing the animals and then you are saying that you are the followers of dharma? So that is why he introduced the ahimsa as a principle, and even rejected Vedas, because part of the Vedas also talked about animal sacrifice or the yagyas where the animals are sacrificed. But in reality, anyone who does them properly can revive those animals in human forms. But because that potency is lost now in the Brahmanas to chant the mantras properly and do the yagya properly, that is why he came to reject those sacrifices and introduce the basics first. Only then people can go further. So that was the purpose of appearing of Lord Buddha. Okay, the last incarnation in this series.
Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Kalki avatar is mentioned here, and he's going to come at end of Kali Yuga. It is between the conjunction of two yugas, like Kali Yuga and Sati Yuga. In that conjunction period, Lord Kalki is going to appear. So at the very end of Kali Yuga. And he's coming as a son of Vishnu Yasha, and he's also going to come at a village called Sambhala. So that is where he's going to appear. So, and then he's going to kill all the evildoers, and that is where the Kali Yuga will finish and Sati Yuga will start. So Kalki comes and he will kill all the evildoers. So that is his his task. Okay, now let us see the next verse.
Oh, the incarnation of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from the inexhaustible source of water. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here, after mentioning these 22 incarnations, what is it like this verse is saying that the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable. So to mention to us that these are not the 22, only 22. This is not a complete list. There are many more. In the first paragraph itself, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned Sri Hayagriva, Hari, Hamsa, Prishni-garbha, Vibhu, Satyasena, so many. We talked about Ajit earlier. They are not mentioned here in this list currently. So there are many more incarnations which are there. So there are innumerable incarnations. And the analogy is given as many rivulets flowing from an inexhaustible source of water. Like the streams of water coming from some source of water. Now, if the source of water is exhaustible, like a limited source, when the stream starts flowing from it, slowly the water quantity will go down and the stream will dry up over a period of time. But if it is an inexhaustible source of water, then the streams can keep going, and at the same time, like innumerable streams can come from it. So that is how there is a source of all these incarnations, which the text is going to mention in 28th verse. So there is this source which is unlimited, and from that source, all of these unlimited incarnations are coming. That is why it is mentioned Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. That the Lord is complete. And from the Lord, more complete things are coming out. And even though the complete is coming from the complete remains complete. So it remains Purna. It is not that 1 minus 1 becomes 0. 1 minus 1 still remains 1. So that is how the source is unlimited. It is inexhaustible. And the incarnations are also unlimited. Okay, let's go to the 26th verse. Sorry, 27. Go ahead,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Yeah. Lavanya Mataji, are you saying something? We can't hear you at all. Okay, let us go to the next one. Somebody else can read. We can't still hear you, Mataji. I think your microphone somehow or the other. And we can actually understand that you are saying something, but it's not audible. Vidushi Mataji or Guma Mataji, please go ahead.
All the rishis, Manus, demigods, and the descendants of Manu, who are especially powerful, are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes Prajapatis. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So there are many rishis, Manus, demigods, Prajapatis. They are either Kala or Amsha. Sorry, Amshas are the full. Kalas are the part of the plenary portions or the part of the Amsha. And then the portions of the Kala, they are called Shaktiyavesha. And even lesser than that are Vibhutis. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentions those who are comparatively less powerful are called Vibhuti, and those who are comparatively more powerful are called Avesha incarnations. So that is how the differences is there. So some of these incarnations which are mentioned, like all the rishis, Manus, demigods, descendants of Manus, and even Prajapatis, those who are less powerful, they are Vibhutis. Those who are more powerful, they are Avesha avatāras. So they are unlimited. Now comes the Paribhasha Sutra or the emperor verse of this entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Now Jiva Goswami calls this as the Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra. So Paribhasha Sutra is actually is a verse which clearly defines everything. It's a defining verse. So Lord Krishna is mentioned repeatedly in Srimad Bhagavatam. So all those verses can be compared to the army. But this particular verse that is coming next is considered as the commander of that army. That is why it can be also called as an emperor verse, that is the king of all the verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. It clearly defines, there is no particular doubt that can remain after we read that verse. So that who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Clearly with the name, and after giving all of these incarnations, it says that he's the fountainhead of all incarnations. So let us go to this important verse. We'll spend some time on this. We'll read the verse as well here. Verse number 28. Ete cham shakala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. This is a very important verse, as I said. So every one of you should memorize this. Even those who are just listening, those who are doing Bhakti Vaibhav, they should definitely memorize. But even others as well who are not doing, even if you just want to just memorize one verse from Bhagavatam, you can memorize this. And anyone who says that, hey, why are you saying that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You can say, Ete cham sakala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. Who wants to recite this verse?
I can recite it.
Okay, go ahead.
Ete chamshakala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam mudayanti yuge yuge.
Okay, Adidevi Mataji, you can also recite. And then Shama Mataji, you can also recite. Or Gaurchandra Prabhu.
Ete cha sakala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayam ti yuge yuge.
Hare Krishna. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridyanti yuge yuge.
Okay. Vidushi Mataji, you can read the translation.
All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists.
Thank you. So this verse actually also gives the answer for the third question which was asked, that why does Lord incarnates? The second part of this verse, it says, Indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. Indra Ari. So the Ari or enemies of Indras, when there is disturbance created to them by the atheists, at that time the Lord incarnates to protect these devotees. So the same answer which was given earlier as well, that he comes to reclaim all those people who are in pure goodness. And here it is mentioned that the devotees are getting protected by the Lord. So they are protected and then they are taken back to the spiritual world. So, and why this is Paribhasha Sutra? It is clearly saying, Ete cha amsha kala pumsa Kṛṣṇastu bhagavān svayam. So, Swayam Bhagwan, who Swayam Bhagwan is, that is Krishna. That is what is mentioned. So why it was then mentioned, why his name was mentioned in all the avatāras earlier in the 22 avatāras? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Like there is a long purport for this verse, as expected, very important verse. That is why there is a long purport here. So Srila Prabhupada mentions avatāra means anyone who descends from the spiritual world to the material world for all of us. That is called avatar. So sometimes Krishna expands into these different levels. And in the first paragraph itself, these different levels are mentioned. Sometimes he comes himself. In the third or fourth line, it starts like this. Oh, if someone else can read from the line. Avatāra means one who descends. From that line onwards, you can read. Have you found that, Parminder Prabhu, or someone else who finds that
Yes,
early?
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Avatāra means one who descends. All the incarnations of the Lord, including the Lord himself, descends on the different planets of the material world, as also in different species of life to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes he comes himself, and sometimes his different preliminary portions or part of preliminary motions or his differential portions, directly or indirectly empowered by him, descendant on this material world to execute certain specific functions.
Yeah, that's
Originally,
the approach. So here it is mentioned the Lord appears. Like whoever it descends, it is avatar.
This one is very good.
So it is mentioned that Lord Krishna has been, he appears sometimes himself. So in his full opulence, he appears. So that is Kṛṣṇas tu bhagavān svayam. So sometimes he appears himself. Sometimes only his plenary portions appear. They are called amshas. So ete cha amsha. Amsha means his plenary portions. And sometimes only part of this plenary portions appear, which is kala. So himself, which is full of all opulence, all potency. Amsha is the plenary portion. Most of them appear. Most of those, the 6 opulences and potencies are present in that amshas. But sometimes kala means the part of the plenary portions. Only some particular potencies are invested into them. And they are also not sometimes fully done. So they are kalas. But then further is avesha, where it is mentioned that he has this differentiated portions directly empowered by him. Differentiated portions means the living entities. So living entities are empowered directly, those are avesha. And sometimes living entities are empowered indirectly, which are vibhutis. So the Lord himself, amsha, kala, avesha, and vibhutis. That is how the potencies are in the reducing strength. So that is how it is mentioned. But the word starts ete. Ete cha. Ete means all these which are mentioned, and cha means and. Like and those which are not mentioned, because there are unlimited incarnations. Only 22 were mentioned here. So all of these are just all these 22 which are mentioned, and the others which are not mentioned, they are just amshas, which are plenary portions of the Supreme Lord, or kala, which are the part of the plenary portion of the Supreme Lord. But tu is mentioned. Tu means but. So whenever somebody is saying but, then the second part of that sentence is very important, because first part is talking about some category, but the second part is different. That is what it actually mentions. So that is where the Kṛṣṇas tu means but is there. So for example, all the men in this room are important, but that man is a president. So everyone is important. President is also important, but he is different. He is more important. So that is why it is said, but this person is president. So in any sentence, when some but comes, then we actually have to listen. What is that but is now going to come and mention to us? So all of these incarnations are incarnations. They are all important. They are all powerful and strong. But who's the source of all of that? There can be only one source. So that is where it is mentioned, Kṛṣṇas tu bhagavān svayam. So Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the fountainhead of all these innumerable incarnations. So this inexhaustible source of water, which was mentioned in the previous verses, where these rivulets are coming, the water streams are coming, that inexhaustible source of everything is Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa himself. So he is, even though he's mentioned as avatar, he's actually the source of all avatāras. He is avatari. from whom all the avatāras are coming. And all of these incarnations are not complete as much as the Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa is. He is full. Everyone else is just Amsha, Kala, Avesha, Vibhuti. Okay. So let us read some more purport, which is the second paragraph. For example, Lord Parshuram. Who wants to read that? Bhageshwari Mataji, you had actually raised your hand before. So you can do that. And then Sudharma Mataji or Sudharma Prabhu, you can do the next reading whenever it comes.
Yeah. For example, Lord Parshuram and Lord Nṛsiṁha displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times and killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods in other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable rising of his eyebrow. The demigods in the higher level of material existence many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and in all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in this material world. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Nṛsiṁha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamadagnya displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective states. The Lord's empowered incarnation Narada and plenary incarnation Varāha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of people. The incarnations of Rāma and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balarama, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kumara, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Nara and Narayana rishis exhibited his renunciation. So all the different incarnations of the Lord indirectly or directly manifested different features, but Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead. And thus it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations.
Yeah, that's fine, Mataji. So as you can see here in this paragraph, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains how these different incarnations, they are only exhibiting some of the potencies of the Supreme Lord. He's saying that Naranarayan Rishi is exhibiting the renunciation. There are these 6 opulences, right? So out of that, renunciation is one. So Naranarayan Rishi is exhibiting that. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kumara, Kapila, they are exhibiting his transcendental knowledge. Balaram, Mohini, Vamana are exhibiting his beauty. Rama and Dhanvantari are displaying his fame. Buddha created faith in the mass of, so indirectly empowered. So various different incarnations are mentioned where they have some potency of the Supreme Lord. But in the end, it is saying, but the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa was his, Lord Krishna is the primal Lord, exhibited the complete feature of Godhead. So complete features, all 6 opulences in full, and are exhibited by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So that is why we have in our the first 10 sessions of Journey of Self-Discovery, we have one complete session on that, who is God, where we explain that all these 6 opulences, how Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa exhibited. How also, apart from the 6 opulences, how is the source of all, source of everything? He is the cause of all causes. He is the supreme controller, supreme enjoyer, supreme proprietor. So that one session is about this, about the Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And there we also refer to this verse, Ete chamsa kala pumsa Kṛṣṇas tu bhagavān svayam indrari vyakulam lokam vridayanti yuge yuge. There are many verses, but because this is such an important verse, we take that. And Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport further, in the 3rd paragraph, he mentions that the word svayam is mentioned here to explain that there is no other source for him. He's the source of all. So that is what is also actually mentioning, that he is the source of everyone, but there is no source for him. And then further, it is mentioned that actually there are 64 attributes which explains the glories or the characteristics of the Supreme. So Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa has all the 64 qualities in full. But when it comes to other incarnations, like other Vishnu Tattvas, they do not have all 64. They only have maximum up to 60. So that is 93%. Lord Shiva only has 84%. Brahma has maximum as 78%. Devatas are less than 78, and humans are even minute quantity like that. So those 64, so the 4 special ones for Lord Shri Krishna are the Leela Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Rupa Madhuri. But we will see all of that little further in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is explaining from a different angle. Srila Prabhupada is explaining what we saw in the first paragraph, which is the himself, Amsha, Kala, Avesha, and Vibhuti. The same thing he is mentioning in a different way, that 64 attributes or 64 qualities are there, but the others can only, they only have limited attributes and not in full as well. So that is why this verse is so important, that it clearly establishes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the source of all incarnation. What to speak of all this material world and all these other different guna avatāras, purusha avatāras, and whatever, all of that comes from the Lord Shri Krishna. And those who have Bhagavad Subodhini, they can get more information about this particular verse. I'm not going to go into detail, but after the first and second canto are done, there is a special section called special verses. And in that special verses, there is this third verse is mentioned, like the first two are also taken care, but there is a third verse, which is this Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa verse. And there Jiva Goswami's commentary is referred to, and various different points are used, which are used by Jiva Goswami to explain why this is such an important verse. So those who are interested, they can actually look at that that essay on this emperor verse in the special verses section. But for everyone else, I think this is good enough. We will move on to the next verse now. Let's go to verse number now 29.
Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. This is a Falashruti mentioned. And generally, Falashruti comes in the end. But this was such an important section. So Sutta Goswami is inspired to offer blessings in midway. So this is midway Falashruti. So here he is mentioning, just by simply reciting this transcendental birth and activities of the Lord, morning and evening, that person will get relief from all the miseries of life. Basically, when you get all the relief from all miseries of life, only when you have got sufficiently attached to the Supreme Lord. So those who continuously, regularly recite this particular section, automatically you will develop love for Krishna and understand, at least, even if you do not get to the love part, at least you will understand the glories of the Supreme Lord, how he is the Supreme, he is the fountainhead of everything. And then because of his Aishwarya, at least you will get attracted towards him. And those who are attracted to the Supreme Lord, then they will go, they will get freedom from Maya. And that is where we will get liberation. We will get relief from all the miseries of life. Okay, now we can see what we can learn from this. Basically, we have already spoken about it, that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very important verse here. He is the source of all incarnation, and he appears to protect his devotees. So this is what we can understand and learn from this section that we have done till now. We are moving on now to a different section from verse number 30 to 39. In these 10 verses, the material form, like the imaginary form of Virat Rupa, is again mentioned, and also the jivas, the living entities, and our body, our gross and subtle forms are also talked about. So, and more info will come in the even second canto. So all in these 22 incarnations that we saw, Virat Rupa was not mentioned, Vishwa Rupa is not mentioned. So what about that? So what is that form? So that is why this section elaborates that further. Let us read the translation for verse 30. Shiva Prabhu and then Pamanda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. The conception of the Virat, universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this section is 30-39. The first verse, 30th, it is talking about the Virat Rupa is Lord's material form. First, it says that it is the material form, but then it says that it is imaginary. The conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent people and neophytes to adjust to the idea of having Lord having form. So many people in the beginning, they think that the Lord doesn't have any form. He's impersonal. So to make them understand that Lord has some form, that is why this Virat Rupa is generally mentioned. So that they can actually come from this impersonal conception to understand that Lord has some personal form. So that is where it is mentioned that different planets are his legs and the sun and moon are his eyes. And as we discuss about some other features like before. So then neophytes will start thinking that, oh, all these material things that they can see, because the neophytes are only able to see material things. They only can see matter. So using matter, the Lord is trying to explain his form. So that is why this Virat Rupa is called the material form of the Lord. But it is imaginary. It is not real. Because the Supreme Lord is spiritual inside out. Now the next verse actually gives an analogy to understand this. Let's read the translation for 31.
Cloud and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent people say that the sky is cloudy and the earth is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conception on the spirit itself. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this analogy of cloud and dust is mentioned here. So the cloud and dust is carried by air. But because of the cloud are getting carried by the air, sometimes the sky looks cloudy or the air look dusty or dirty. But the original sky and the air, that is pure. This clouds or the dust that is there in the air, that is just an external imposition onto it. Similarly, the spirit is pure. It doesn't have any matter in it. And this matter is just a superimposition. So there is another analogy which Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport, which makes it even easier to understand. Srila Prabhupada says that sometimes we associate some people with the car. Say suppose some president is a president is always going into a particular car. So when we see that car going, we can see that, oh, look, there is president. So just like actually the president you did not even see, you just saw his car. But you are saying, look, there is president in it. So this is how we can understand that actually it is a car. We are just associating the car with the president. Similarly, we, with our eyes, we are only able to see the matter, only the gross matter. And looking at that, we say that, oh, this is a person, or this is like a soul, or this is a super soul, living entity, or the Supreme Lord. So that is how the Virat Rupa is explained. So the material form is imaginary. It is just a superimposition of matter on either the soul or the Supreme Lord. But that is imaginary. Okay, let's go to the next verse. So unintelligent people impose material conception on the spirit. That is what we saw. So 32. Who was next? If no one was there, then Mahendra Prabhu, you can do. Verse 32.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, was someone there or it's me reading?
You can go ahead, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form, which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond his subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception. Now it is talking about the subtle body. So the living entities are having subtle form also, which is, we all know, we have done the journey of self-discovery first 10 sessions, where we see that there is a spiritual body, which is the spirit soul. Then there is a subtle body, which is of mind, intelligence, and ego. And then there is a gross body of the 5 elements. So the living entities have subtle form also, apart from the gross form, which is of mind, intelligence, and ego. And because we have this gross and subtle forms, subtle bodies, we think that the Lord also has the subtle body and the gross body. Is that making sense? Because we think we have this subtle and gross body. We also think that, oh, the Supreme Lord will also have some gross body and the subtle body. But that is not true. That is not reality. That is all imaginary. And this verse explains that the living being has his form beyond the subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births. So these repeated births are caused by the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. And as soon as we have purified our subtle body, the subtle body vanishes, and then we can go back to Godhead. Is this verse or somewhere else? Yeah, okay. Next verse, next to next verse, we'll explain this further. So 32 is when he's saying that subtle forms beyond the gross forms are explained. Let's go to 33 and 34 together. The translations can be read. Mantramalam Prabhu, you can read. Pavendra Prabhu has read quite a few. So 33 and 34 translations, both you can read together.
Okay, Prabhuji. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with the self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the self-realization process is mentioned. So the 32 verse mention that because of the subtle body, we remain in the cycle of birth and death. We have repeated birth. But when can we actually come out of this cycle? When we get self-realized. And what is the self-realization? Understanding that the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self. At that time, we can see himself as well as the Lord. So we can see the soul and the super soul. In the purport of 33, Srila Prabhupada, in the first paragraph itself, in the middle, he says, self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about the activities of the self. Basically, Srila Prabhupada is saying that once we actually move from material activities to the spiritual activities, we are focused on our material activities, which is mainly for sense enjoyment, all focused on how I can actually pamper my body or look after my body, or how I can look after my mind, intelligence, and ego. And that keeps us here. Once we come out of these needs, it is not that we don't have to look after the body and just starve the body to death. It is not, that is not the meaning. But the focus is moved from these eating, meeting, sleeping, defending to going to the spiritual activities. We are also considering now what is the need for the spirit soul. And then we will focus on the activities of the self. So the soul, its main activities, Jivera Swarupa hai Krishnera Nitya Das. So we'll start performing the activities of the soul, then we will become self-realized. And then what will happen? The illusory energy will subside. And the living entity will be fully enriched with the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So the ignorance will be gone. The tamogun will be gone, rajogun will be gone, and with that, the illusory energy has started to subside. And the living entity will get the knowledge of the soul and the Supreme Lord. and then they become fully enlightened. And it is mentioned, thus he becomes situated in his own full glory. So his own glory means in his right constitutional position. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the person then becomes situated in the right constitutional position and enjoys eternal spiritual life. That is the real glory of this spirit soul. Our glory is not to remain in this material world and enjoy the material energy. Our glory comes when we realize our position and start serving the Supreme Lord. And in that servitude position, we become glorious. Then we are in the right constitutional position and we can enjoy the spiritual life. Let's read 35 and 36 together. Translation. Who was next? Yes. Mataji, go ahead, or Prabhuji, whoever wants to read.
Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. The Lord whose activities are always spotless is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Now it is the first line itself that Mataji read. It's so confusing. Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of unborn and inactive. So, birth of an unborn and activities of an inactive person. So, thus learned men. So, we should be able to do that. Then we can be the learned person. Isn't it interesting? Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between the living entities and the Supreme Lord in the purport. So, the living entities are forced to take birth because of our karma, because of our activities. And these activities are material activities, which are done for your own enjoyment. That is why there is the law of karma is applicable. We have to actually take birth for getting the results of those activities. But the Lord's appearance and disappearance is different. Lord is not being forced. He comes by his own will for helping us to take us back to Godhead, as well as to protect us. We saw what is the purpose of his activities. And Lord is eternal, so there is no birth for him. And he doesn't perform any material activities, so there is no law of karma for him. So in a way, even though he appears, we call it birth because we can only understand birth. And that is why foolishly we also think that just like we die, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa also died. And all these incarnations who are coming, they also take birth and they die. But that is not the truth. Only the learned people, the foolish people think that he is taking birth and he dies. Learned people think they understand clearly. They know, they reject this material form and describe the birth and activities, appearance and disappearance and activities of the person who is unborn and who is inactive. Srila Prabhupada has given this analogy as well, not in this purport, but in general, many times he has spoken about that just like the sun rises and then he sets. We don't say that when sun has risen, that sun has taken birth, and when his sun is setting, that sun has died. Similarly, the Lord appears and disappears, just like the sun appears and disappears from your vision. So when sun is rising or setting, it is just coming in front of your vision and it is going beyond your vision. So similarly, when the Lord appears and disappears, he's appearing in front of you and he's disappearing from your eyes. And that is what we call his birth and death. But it is not really a birth like the living entity takes birth, and not a death as the living entity is doing. And what are some of the activities which are mentioned? The creation that he does, maintenance and destruction that he does, but he's not affected by those because he's not attached. So he's doing it in a detached way. That is why he's free from the results. So 33, 34, we saw that realizing that the self has nothing to do with gross and subtle forms, being situated in one's own glory. In 35, 36, we saw that rejecting the material forms, subtle, gross and subtle, learned men describe the Lord who has glorious qualities. So, which are mentioned that he's always spotless, master of the six senses, fully omnipotent with six opulences. And he does all these activities of creation and annihilation and maintenance, but he's still not affected. He's within every living being and is always independent. So we saw so many points. Now 37 verse, number 37. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sadashiv Prabhu.
The
And then
foolish-
Pamendra Prabhu, you can do. The next verse is also, next to next verse is very important verse. Okay.
Hare Krishna. The foolish with a poor fund of knowledge cannot know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in the drama, nor can they express such things, neither in their speculations nor in their words. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we talked about learned. Now what foolish are doing? They don't understand that the Lord is actually doing just performing in a movie. It is said that playing like an actor in a drama. Natacharyam Ivadnyaha. So he just performing some drama and he's an actor in the drama. And sometimes looking at his acting, foolish people get confused that he has died at the end of Mahabharata. So that is not the truth. He is appearing and disappearing, and it is not his birth or death like that. So he's just performing a pastime as an actor. Hence, they think that he is affected, or sometimes people say that, oh, because of his karma that he has taken birth again. No, nothing like that. He is inactive and he is unborn. So no karma affects him, no activity can affect him. Okay, the verse number 38 is a wonderful verse, so we will recite this verse. सवेद धातु पदविं परस्य दुरंत वीर्यस्य रथांग पाणे यो मायया संततयानुवृत्त्या भजेत तत्पाद सरोज गंधम. Anyone wants to recite? Yes,
Hare Krishna,
Dharma Maharaj.
Prabhupada.
Sudharma Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. सवेददातु पदवीं परस्य दुरन्तवीर्यस्य रथाङ्गपाने यो मायया सान्ततयानुवृत्त्या भजेत तत्पादसरोजगन्धम्. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Ashoka Mataji, you wanted to recite as well? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. सवेदधातुं पदिं परस्य दुरन्तवीरस्य रथाङ्गपाने यो मायया सन्तत्यानुवृत्त्या भजेत तत्पादसरोजगन्धम्. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. Pamendra Prabhuji, go ahead and read the translation.
Only
And
those
Rajiv
who
Prabhu, you can do the next one.
only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and transcendence. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So the foolish people are not able to understand the Supreme Lord and his acting that he's performing in the drama. So who can understand, like, what is the process that how we can become intelligent or learned from the foolishness that we are in? So the three things which are mentioned, amayaya, santataya, anuvrittya. So three things we can do in our devotional service. So what are those? Amayaya means unreserved devotional service. Santataya means uninterrupted. And anuvrittya means favorable. So anyone who is doing unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable devotional service to the Supreme Lord, they can only understand the Supreme Lord properly in all his full glory, power, and transcendence. Otherwise, our understanding will remain just limited. So basically, it is saying only a devotee can understand the Supreme Lord. No one else can understand. Because amayaya santataya anuvritya, it is only a devotee, a pure devotee is actually doing this kind of devotional service. So we can become intelligent from foolish by doing devotional service. So this is what we can understand from this verse. That only a devotee can know the Lord by rendering devotional service, and in what way? Unreserved, uninterrupted, and favorable. So that is how we should continue doing it. Now, from verse 40 to 44, like the last 5 verses, are giving the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very beautiful, very nice. So let us look at these glories of Srimad Bhagavatam in the next few verses. Rajiv Prabhu, please read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant, for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes and guarantees 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. I was sorry, I actually somehow that skipped verse number 39. I directly went to 40. But I was thinking, why you are reading this? Where is this?
So, Prabhuji, I'm following online. I don't have the book, so
No,
just
very good,
next.
very good. Actually, because of you, otherwise I was just ignoring one verse that I shouldn't have done. Okay, good. So verse number 39 is mentioning that such transcendental inquiries which are done by the Shaunakadi rishis. Because here the verse number 38 was mentioning that those who are doing unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable devotional service, only they can know the Lord fully. Now Srimad Bhagavatam had just only started. All of these devotees who are sitting in front of Sutta Goswami, they are thinking, "Arey, we are not pure devotees." So, like all this entire Srimad Bhagavatam, we are not then going to understand the Lord. So, to encourage them, Sutta Goswami has mentioned this verse. He's saying that you have done very wonderful inquiries. Such transcendental inquiries in the world can one become successful and can become perfectly cognizant. Not only that, such inquiries invoke the ecstatic love for Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it guarantees the immunity from birth and death. So even just by asking right questions, you can get enlightened, you can become an intelligent person from a foolish person. So the journey from foolish to intelligent, on the way there are lots of questions, and those questions needs to be asked and answered. I know I have asked you to hold on those questions, but we will actually come to those question answers in just few more verses, and we will take those question and answers. So that is what 39 is mentioning. Now 40 to 44, that section, as I was mentioning earlier, is glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's go to verse number 40. Yeah, Sadashiv Prabhu and then Vidhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Brijesh will do if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful and all blissful, and all perfect.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Well done, Brijesh. Very nice. So some of the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have also seen in the first session itself when we were talking about Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanayas. So at that time, we have talked about some of these glories. So we will go through it. So it is the literary incarnation of God. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. It is the incarnation of the God in the Grantha format. It is Grantha Avatara. Not only that, it is written by incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is compiled by Vyasadeva. It is meant for ultimate good of all people. The purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is ultimate good for all people. And that is why one of the 6 questions was, what is the essence of everything and what is the ultimate good for all people in general? And that is when Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. So it is meant for ultimate good of all people. And it is all successful, all blissful, all perfect. Because Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam are not different, because Krishna is all successful, all blissful, all perfect. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam is also all successful, all blissful, all perfect. Let's go ahead and see more. 41.
Shri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized. After extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So it has come in parampara. So Vyasadeva delivered it to his son Shukadeva Goswami, who's most respected, and he has done it after extracting the cream of all Vedic literature. So it is cream of all scriptures. So that is another glory. Next one.
Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of Ganges and waiting death without taking food or drink. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here, Shukadeva Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of Ganges awaiting death without taking food or drink. So for 7 days and 7 nights, Shukadeva Goswami sat there just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. He was not taking any food or drink. So there was no time, lunch time, lunch break, or tea break, herbal tea break. Nothing was there like that for them. They were just continuously day and night, 7 days and 7 nights. They just sat there and heard. But it is a parampara which is mentioned here. So Vyasadeva told to Shukadeva Goswami mentioned to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, while it was being mentioned, there were so many sages. Suta Goswami was amongst them. And he mentions this in the next verse, or the last verse. But the text 43 now answers the 6th question, the last question which was still remaining to be answered. So that is answered here. So it is a very important verse. Let us read that verse. Krishne swadhama upagate dharma jnanadhibi saha kalau nashta drishamesha puranarko dhunoditaha. Who wants to recite? Very wonderful verse. You should memorize as well. Yes, Mantramalam Prabhu, you want to?
No, Prabhuji, I want to recite the translation.
Okay, translation. Okay, who's ready to do the verse?
I can try, Prabhuji, if that's
okay. Go ahead.
Thanks, Prabhuji. कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदृशामेष नोदितः.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, read the translation. Mantramalam Prabhu.
The Bhagavad Purana is brilliant as the sun, and it has risen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the 6th question which was asked by Shaunakadi Rishis was, where have religious principles gone after Lord Shri Krishna has disappeared from this planet? So this says, this Bhagavad Purana, this Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. And it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Shri Krishna to his original abode and accompanied by religion and knowledge and etc. So with Krishna, all this religion knowledge went, but then Srimad Bhagavatam appeared and bringing it back. So person who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So that is why like the Srimad Bhagavatam is also, we saw that it is Grantha avatar, it is literary incarnation. It is non-different from Krishna. So just like Krishna is giving the religion, knowledge, etc. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. So that is also giving religion, knowledge. And it is as brilliant, as bright as sun. And that is why the darkness of this Kali Yuga is completely it gets removed. And what is this real religion? Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport in the middle, like few lines from the top. He said, real religion means to know God, our relationship with Him, and our duties in relationship with Him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. What are these things? We have talked about them before: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So it says real religion means to know God and our relationship with Him, which is Sambandha. We have to understand that we are not this body, spirit, soul, and who is God? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what is our relationship with Him? That is Sambandha. And then it talks about real religion also means our duties in relationship with Him. That is Abhideya. What is our duty? That we have to serve the Supreme Lord. That is the process of Abhideya, the process that we have to follow. And ultimately, we need to know the destination after leaving this material body, which is the Prayojana. What is the goal? That service, devotional service and love of Godhead is our goal. So real religion means knowing this Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. And Srimad Bhagavatam provides all these three. It gives the Sambandha, it gives the Prayojana, it gives the Abhideya. Okay. So we will go to the last verse. Or before we go to last verse, so Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as sun. We can understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as sun. And religious principles have taken shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam after Lord Krishna's departure from here. We can also understand from whatever we have seen till now that how it is in parampara it has come. So we have to also hear Srimad Bhagavatam in parampara. So that is the secret of knowing Srimad Bhagavatam. It is in this last verse that we are going to read. Okay, let's read that and then we will come back to here. Read the translation of the last verse.
Krishna Prabhuji. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
O learned Brahmanas, when Sukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam there, in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So that is how, like in all the rishis who were sat there, who were sitting there when Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami, Suta Goswami was also there. So he said that I heard it with rapt attention. So single pointed focus. He was having rapt attention. And thus by his mercy, by Shukadeva's mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage, from Shukadeva. And in the verse, if you see, it says, Yatha Dhitam, Yatha Mati. So Yatha Dhitam, Yatha Mati means as far as my realization goes. So now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. So only when we have rapt attention, then it is possible that we can get our mind purified from Srimad Bhagavatam. And a pure mind is only possible, rapt attention, like in the purport itself, Srila Prabhupada mentions towards the end of this first, there is only one paragraph, so towards the end. Let's read that. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. So rapt attention is only possible if we have a pure mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. So pure mind is possible only when our actions are pure. And no one can be pure in action who's not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. So our actions cannot be pure if our eating, mating, sleeping, defending is not pure. So that is why we have to actually start from the basics. Our eating needs to be improved. Our mating needs to be improved. Sleeping and defending, that needs to be improved. When we actually make that pure, then we can actually make our actions pure, and then actions will be pure, then the mind will become pure, and then we'll be having rapt attention when Srimad Bhagavatam is being said, like Suta Goswami. And then we will be able to realize it. With the rapt attention you hear, then you understand it, implement it in your life, you realize it. So that is what we are trying to mention here. The secret of knowing Srimad Bhagavatam is hearing it in parampara, hearing it in rapt attention, then only we can realize it. Jai. So that is how we have completed chapter 3 with 5 minutes to spare. So we can take now some summary points, realizations, comments, or questions. So one question at a time, if you can take, and then we can go through all of those. And if you have more, then we can come back again. Okay, Adi Devi Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. It was a wonderful class today. My question is from text 13. I think you mentioned for the translation, I could just go back to text 13.
Text 13, you mean?
Yes.
The 8th incarnation of King Rishabha?
That's right. So I think it was the second last line in the translation. You were talking about those who have fully controlled their senses, and then you mentioned only that this is referring to. So that got me thinking a little bit, Prabhuji, because in our movement we have grahasthas who are fully controlled in their senses. We have persons like vanaprasthas like Mother Urmila or brahmacharis who are controlled in their senses. So would we strictly say it refers only to sannyasis?
Yeah, I think it is not, the meaning is not that only the sannyasis will have the controlled senses. Actually, there were two things which were mentioned there. So those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life.
Correct.
So if you take 4 varnas or 4 ashramas, then sannyasis are the most respected by all of them. And the sannyasis are supposed to have very controlled senses. That's why they are called swamis or goswamis, right?
Yeah.
So in Vanaprastha, we are not calling them swamis or goswamis. But only sannyasis are called swamis or goswamis because at that stage, they have to have, and especially in the purport, if you see, there are 4 stages of sannyas ashram are also mentioned by Srila Prabhupada: Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajacharya, and Paramhamsa. And Srila Prabhupada said the Paramhamsa stage of life is the highest stage of perfection. So those Paramhamsas are fully controlled and they are fully honored, like they are the honored by all orders of life. Even the Brahmanas will respect and honor the sannyasis. But that doesn't mean the Grihasthas doesn't have to be self-controlled. What we are mentioning here, that the way that King Rishabha has given, the knowledge that King Rishabha has given, that is mainly for applicable for those sannyasis.
Okay.
For Grihasthas, there is a different way of applying this different knowledge. Like we go into mainly Yukta Vairagya in the Grihastha life, whereas the path of Rishabhadev is very austere. That is where the Jainism has started from King Rishabha's knowledge that they have given. And you can see that those who are following Jainism, especially those the Jain sages, they are very austere and very difficult and life that they actually go through. So that is not possible for even Grihasthas or Vanaprasthas. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I do have a few questions more and from Mom also, so I will text it to you on the group.
No, that's fine. We can actually go back. You're back in the queue, so we will go through the other questions, and if we have time, we can take more. And if we do not have time, then you can send me some.
Yeah.
Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, from verse 35, so it says that Lord's activities are undiscoverable in Vedas. Are Vedic scriptures. What does it mean, Prabhuji? Because see, all we learn and all we hear is the source is Vedic scriptures, right? Like the Vedas, Puranas, and everything else. So what does it mean, Prabhuji?
Yeah. So it is undiscoverable by Vedas means even the Vedas are not able to understand the essence, because Vedas actually talk about so many different things. So that is why it is mentioned that the births and activities of the unborn and inactive. So understanding the birth of the unborn and activities of the inactive, sometimes it is not possible or not able to discover that from the knowledge of the Vedas.
You mean
and that is why
is
that
it
is
that?
why that is why the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam is required. Srimad Bhagavatam has come because if suppose the knowledge was discoverable easily through the Vedas, then Vyasadeva would have felt comfortable and he would have felt that, okay, it is all okay, but he was still feeling that it was incomplete. And that is when Narad Muni actually asked him to actually write Srimad Bhagavatam.
But here it says Vedic literature. So that means even the Puranas, including Bhagavad Purana, is also part of Vedic literature. It's not just Vedas, right? Is it?
No. No. Because the Puranas written at this point in time was not including Srimad Bhagavat Purana.
Okay.
So Srimad Bhagavat, like there was a Bhagavat Puran which was included in the 18 Puranas that he wrote before, but that was not in this form. So only after he met Narad Muni, Vyasadeva actually rewrote this Bhagavad Purana, which was only focused on Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and it was only focused on the path of bhakti, and that is how it can be said that it is not easily discoverable. Actually, the knowledge is all there, but can any ordinary person read that and discover what is the essence of it? The answer is no. Even just Bhagavad Gita we were talking about, right? That Bhagavad Gita as well, it's just 700 verses. But reading that, many people say that the essence of Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, essence of Bhagavad Gita is Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. When it is very clear that the essence is Bhakti Yoga. So from 700 verses, if you are not able to actually discover the essence of Bhagavad Gita, where is the question that from like lakhs of verses we can read and understand what is the essence? So it is undiscoverable like that. So that is why Srimad Bhagavatam has come. It has appeared just to give it directly. So you don't have to start discovering something. Okay?
Thank you.
Fine. Gaurachandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much
Dandavata.
for today's class. I've got a couple of questions, but I'll just ask first and then I'll go back in the queue. Now, I think it's just a general clarification. Now, we have heard and read it many times that, for the less intelligent people, because they're not able to, they can't understand the personal feature, the personal form of the Lord. So they go the back door and they just meditate on the Virat Rupa. Now, my question is, Prabhuji, when we say that they do meditate on the Virat Rupa, are they like, and as we understand, it's an imaginary form. Now, what are they meditating on? Like, I mean, is it just the Virat Rupa, like with many like heads, or what are they? Or it's just the creation that comes from it, like the like the sea, the mountains, and yeah.
Correct, Prabhuji. So that is generally the neophytes who are meditating on a Virat Rupa. Then they are meditating on this universal form, which is the material universe that is created in these different planetary systems and whatever. They are actually looking at that. And we will see more about that form in second canto, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sudharma Mataji.
Thank you,
Or Sudharma
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, I have a bit of a doubt in this one, like understanding where it is mentioned about the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu in the whole verses where we covered incarnations. So text 3 was talking about Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, where it talks about the universal planetary systems and all came out from his extensive body of the Purusha. So that's text 3. And text 5, where is talking about the second manifestation of the Purusha. That is also talking about the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, right?
Yeah, that is right, Mataji.
So where is the Kshirodakashayi mentioned here, Prabhuji?
Kshirodakashayi is mentioned only in the purport, and it was mentioned in the second canto, the second chapter, where the 3 parts which were mentioned, where the Paramatma actually came. That is where the Kshirodakashayi was mentioned. But here, if you actually come in the verses itself directly, if you see, it talks about the first verse talks about Mahavishnu, and then it actually just continues on Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. But like in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned further, and that is why actually I also included Kshirodakashayi Vishnu in that.
Okay. And these both are like what you call the Virat Rupa, no, like transcendental form, which are in the Virat Rupa, or like a universal form.
What are you like? I did not answer.
In the sense, like all the Garbhodakashayi and the Karnodakashayi, they have like thousands of heads, arms, legs, and all. their description
Oh,
is
like the
like that.
Virat, like the
Virat.
transcendentalist who see that form with
Yes.
thousands. So they are mainly referring to Garbhodakshai Vishnu Mataji.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that Karnodakshai Vishnu cannot have that. So because the Lord is unlimited and they are just expansions, but here specifically that form which was mentioned is of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu.
Okay.
They
And
meditate, the people meditate, the devotees meditate on the Garbhodakshai Vishnu in that form as well.
what about Kshirodakashai? It's not mentioned anywhere about his form, right, Prabhuji?
No, Kshirodakshai Vishnu's form is also mentioned. Like we also have in the books, there is a photo of a Paramatma as well, right? Where it is the 400 Kshirodakshai Vishnu form
400,
is mentioned.
400.
This
So
one.
that kind of form is also there. But of course, Mataji, Kshirodakshai Vishnu can also have these thousands of heads, thousands of legs, thousands of all of those, because the form that we talked about, where Arjuna saw that form, that was manifested. Like all these incarnations are coming from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So that manifestation that was created by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa in front of him, even though Krishna is creating it, it is actually coming through the agency of Kshirodakshai Vishnu.
Okay.
But in this particular section, where from the second verse onwards, it was mainly talking about the Garbhodakshai Vishnu only.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, Sadashiv Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just the clarification. So, text 22 translation, atheist King Ravana. What is the significance, Prabhuji? Instead of it says demon King Ravana or something.
Yeah.
clear.
So thank you, Prabhuji. So generally, the categorization that people can actually do categorization differently, right? But at a high level, the categorization is always done as Sura and Asura. Sura means those who are followers of the Vedic scriptures and the followers of the Supreme Lord, and Asura means those who are not following the Supreme Lord and the scriptures. So those are called atheists. So all these demons that we talk about, they are generally the atheist. They don't actually they are not the followers of the Supreme Lord. Now Hiranyakashipu or Ravana, they are not followers of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, why would they want to actually steal the wife of the Supreme Lord? So Ravana did that. So they are not the followers. So they are Asura. So they are not Suras, but they are Asuras. And Asuras, one of the translation could be they are atheist. They are not followers of the Supreme Lord. They don't believe in Supreme Lord. Because Hiranyakashipu was saying, Ravan was saying that I am the Supreme. That you all worship me, all focus on me. So they can be, they are can be called as atheists.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Bharadwaji Prabhu, and then we'll come back to Gaurchandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it said in some of the purports, it said that, Lord actually appears as Brahma or Indra when there's nobody to fill those roles.
Yeah.
So in those cases, would Lord actually come in his spiritual body, or transcendental body, or would he take the material form here? Material
Yeah. So it depends, Prabhuji. So in the particular case of Yajna, Lord appeared himself. So
Right.
that was an incarnation, but it was not a Shaktya-vesha. Shaktya-vesha avatar and the other avatars, the difference is Shaktya-vesha is empowered living entity.
Right.
So the living entity is getting some extra spiritual potency. They are not in Vishnu Tattva. But whereas the avatara means that they have come like the Krishna's Amsha avatar or Kala avatar that we talked about, or the Leela avatara sometimes. Those, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is appearing or appearing with the plenary portion or the part of the plenary portion. So there the Supreme Lord is coming. So when Supreme Lord comes, then he comes in his spiritual body.
Right.
But when the living entities, which are Shaktya-vesha avataras, then they are not having the spiritual body. They are the living entities with some specific potencies given to them.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, and I'm also confused about Parashuram being Avesh Avatar, because we always treat him as Dashavatar, as part of the Dashavatas, like one of the main incarnations. So, okay. It's not a question, but it's just a confusion.
Yeah. It is, even though, see, that is why we say that the Shavtaras, yes, we talk about the Shavtaras, but there are many avataras. And it doesn't mean that all the Shavtaras are Amsha or Kala avataras. It never says that only Amsha or Kala avataras can enter into the Shavtara list.
Right.
Lord Buddha is also actually not a full incarnation. Lord Buddha is also Avesha incarnation.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. Okay, let's go back to Gaur Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, as we know that, that there are like 4 types of pralayas, and we talk about that, and the main 2 we talk about is like, one is after 1 day of Brahma, which is known as 1 kalpa, where up to Swargloka, everything, is basically, covered in water. And then after 100 years of Brahma, the whole universe is destroyed. And then we just hear that, after the annihilation, everything goes into back into Mahatattva, basically into the body of Mahavishnu. Now, my understanding is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and is that when the partial annihilation takes place, which is after the 1 day of Brahma, which is like after 1 kalpa, then all the jivas up to Swarglok, they enter into the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Is it right? And then after the 100 years, when everything is destroyed, when Brahma dies, then everything enters into the body of like Mahavishnu, Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Is my understanding correct?
No, any time the annihilation happens, whether it is a partial annihilation or full annihilation, where the living entities are getting destroyed at that time or annihilated at that time, they actually enter into Mahavishnu and then come back. But when the partial annihilation happens, at that time, only Swargaloka and down gets annihilated.
Yes.
But those who are the higher planetary system, which is the Janaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Brahmaloka, those who are purified enough to be there, they remain. And they continue. But the other living entities who are getting annihilated, then finally they are annihilated. That means they have died.
Yes.
So if they are finished, then they are actually going into that cycle of birth, old age, death, and disease. And depending on the time gap, between the 2 manvantras, there is a sandhya period. That sandhya period, like we say sandhya kal in the day. Similarly, there is a sandhya between the 2 manvantaras, which is almost like this the duration of 1 mahayuga. So it is not like a small period. So where there is some pausing, like a parking space. So just like after 1 day of Brahma as well, there is that annihilation happens. There is 12 hours, which is 4.32 billion years. So there has to be some parking space. So they get parked and then they come back.
So they get parked again in Mahavishnu.
Yes, Prabhuji. That is my understanding, Prabhuji. But we can also check with some more, like annihilation is not very detailed explained. I think recently there is a lecture which has come from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu as well about this annihilation. So maybe you can listen to that to get better understanding. If there is
It's in one of my to-do list. I just wanted to, but as far as because as of today, my understanding was that during like for the partial annihilation, after 1 day, everyone goes into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then after the full, everyone enters into. That was my understanding, but I could be obviously wrong. But I don't know.
I haven't read like that, Prabhuji, anywhere that it goes inside Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But if it is there, some references, please let me know if you find something.
Okay, if you find. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Sudharma Mataji, Sudharma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when we talked about the Satyavesha avatar in the purport, text 5, where Kumaras, Narada, Prithu were all mentioned. So who are Satyavesha avatar? But Shesha and Ananta are also mentioned there. So are they also Satyavesha avatar, Prabhuji? Not directly, like
Yes,
not
that's correct.
Bhagavan himself?
Yeah. So Shesha and Ananta, they are also Shaktyavesha avatar, and they also have a specific Shakti which is invested in them. Ananta has the Bhudharana Shakti. Ananta is on his head, all these universes are floating. So he has this Bhudharana Shakti, and Shesha has Svasevana Shakti. So he's in the servitor. So he's always serving. So it is a Svasevana
So
Shakti.
Shesha and Ananta are not same. They are also different, Prabhuji.
They are mentioned as differently, Mataji, here. So Shesha is different, Ananta is different.
And
Different functions they are doing.
okay. I have one more question. Should I go back in the queue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
If it is okay. Okay. Anyone who wants to actually mention some summary points or reflections? We can take those before we go to some further questions.
Prabhuji, mine is a mix of both. Can I
Okay,
go?
go ahead. Go ahead.
So this was a bit of, in extension of Gaurchandra Prabhu's point about the annihilation process. And then I was, this morning I was thinking today happens to be Dev Shayana Ekadashi. So my first question was, would this be Shayan of Garbhodakshai Vishnu or Karnodakshai Vishnu? And second question is,
No idea.
is there a
Which
chance
one it
that
is
the
referring to? Yes.
annihilation today at the end of when the
No.
Lord? Yeah. It's funny, but yeah, it could. I mean, it's a question.
Yeah, we will know immediately tomorrow morning, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
But definitely it is not the time yet.
Okay.
That's a different pastime that it is being
Yeah.
referred to. So,
Okay.
yeah.
પેલું પૂછ્યું હતું chemical-નું.
Any other reflections or summary points? Vidhi Mataji?
Prabhu, sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I would mention the summary point is Krishna is like source of all incarnation. So is full. After that it comes Amsha, then Kala, then Avesha, and then Vibhuti. In that order, the potency get reduced.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Anyone else has any other reflections, realizations, comments based on today's
I
session?
can share something, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please go.
I'm actually the verse 30 to 39 was so difficult to understand when we read, but you have made it very easy to understand. Thank you for that, Prabhuji. And especially when it talks about the gross and subtle thing, point, like, when everything like goes, and we have to realize, like, we are the self, and God has nothing to do with the gross and subtle forms. So that example of the president driving the car was very, very easy to understand. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada has given that,
Yeah.
not me. So yeah, my problem is that I can't understand complicated stuff. So I have to actually break it down to something simple so that I can understand. Only then I can share. So be ready for second canto to be finished very quickly because it's very complicated. I do not have the capacity to understand it completely. So many times, if you in the second canto you ask some questions, I'll say pass. So that is how it is going to go. So understand that I don't understand everything, but whatever I understand, I'll try to share. Okay. Bharadwaj Shri Prabhu, you still have some question or you have some comments, realizations you want to share?
No, I have a relation also, Prabhuji, and a question also.
Okay, let's go with realization.
So relation is that that hierarchy was quite. This is the first time I'm actually realizing that this is a nice hierarchy that was given. That amshas and kalas and avishas and vibhutis. So that was nice to hear, Prabhuji.
No,
And
top is himself, the Lord himself, complete.
yes, and Lord himself on the top, and also that Bhagavatam is the it's I mean until now I was thinking that it is Bhagavatam as the literary incarnation of the Lord, as that we are saying it to emphasize the importance of it, but actually that is inside Bhagavatam itself, so which is really good to realize that.
Okay, fine. Gaur Chandra Prabhu or Mataji, you have some comments, reflection?
Hare Krishna
Sorry,
Prabhuji.
point, yeah.
So basically, I've heard it many times about Leela Avatara, Purusha Avatara, Yuga, Manvantara, Guna, and Shaktavesh Avatara. But then I didn't know the examples of Purusha, Dushta Damana Shakti, like Parashuram, and four Kumaras, they are Jnana Shakti, and Narad Muni is Bhakti Shakti.
Yeah.
Like that, they are
It comes in Chaitanya
Shaktavesh.
Charitamrita, Mataji.
Okay. Yes,
Chaitanya
Prabhuji.
Charitamrita, in the conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatan Goswami, he explains him into detail, very details in the chapter 20, Madhya Leela, chapter 20, 21. In those two chapters, if you just go through those, you will get much more knowledge than what we just mentioned here. So he explains
Okay,
very
fine.
beautifully to Sanatan Goswami,
Yes, thank
including
you,
all of
Prabhuji.
these Shaktis that I was mentioning, and this Dushta Damana Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Bhakti Shakti, all of that, those words are taken from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can I ask a question quickly? No.
Are you in the queue for that question? I think let us take those as per the queue. We'll take three last questions, one from Sudharma Mataji, one from Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu, and one from you, and then we will finish today. Okay? Fine.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, just a question regarding Dattatreya, where in the purport it's mentioned like Anushya wanted all of them together, so they came as their son. So they came as one, or they were like three? I'm hearing like there are three sons who came as Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, or is it just for like with their incarnations?
Yes, Mataji. I think there are different places, different things are mentioned. So that can be only explained when we understand that these incarnations are cyclic. So sometimes it is like the Lord will come as combination of all three. So with three heads, and sometimes he comes as separate. So Lord Vishnu comes as Dattatreya, Shiva comes as Durvasa, and Brahma comes as Soma. So three different like that they come. So some pastimes it is mentioned that they came as three different. Some pastimes it is mentioned that he came as a combination. So again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only mentions that this can be explained by Achintya Bheda Bhed. Achintya Bheda Bhed is like, because it is cyclic, Achintya Bheda Bhed specifically says that they are same and different at the same time. So the Lord comes as Dattatreya, but sometimes he does some variation. And when we see Varāha avatar as well, we will see sometimes his color is mentioned Shweta, like white. Sometimes it is mentioned Neela or red. So two different colors are mentioned.
Red.
Red, yeah, two different colors are mentioned. And we're thinking, how come the Varaha avatar is sometimes white, sometimes red? So it is because the Lord appears again and again in different yugas. He may actually decide to perform some variations. So that is how we can understand that sometimes why Dattatreya is mentioned as one, as a combination, and sometimes three different personalities.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you know that universal form Lord actually explained his body as the material forms, like that veins as the rivers, and the mountains, and hair as the trees and all that. That is even more confusing to imagine, in different forms. Like, I'm just wondering why Lord actually is like giving that as a form, like because see, for a neophyte, as a neophyte like us, like see, the Lord, we want to see him as a personal form, right, rather than imagining trees and beans as a that isn't it, Prabhuji? That is more confusing.
You are thinking of a neophyte coming in Srila Prabhupada's parampara.
Right.
In general, because Srila Prabhupada introduces Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa from beginning.
Right.
So that is why for you to imagine Lord in this universal form is difficult. And you're thinking that our personal form is so clear, so understandable. So why we have to actually imagine different things? But this is aligned to two kinds of people. And purport in Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, if you read that, one who have no conception. They are fruitive workers. They have no conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they actually think that it is, they only are materialistic. So for them, only matter can be actually thought about.
Right.
So for them to imagine something completely spiritual, they don't even know that they themselves are soul, which is spiritual, and the Lord is also sitting there in as a super soul in their heart as spiritual,
Right.
as a spiritual entity. So for them, nothing spiritual they can imagine. They can only think about matter. So for them is the one class, and the second class is the impersonalist. So for them to move from that impersonal feature, that Lord is having personal form as well. So to move from there to something which is having form, for them this will be useful. So they are quite complicated people. So for them, this complicated things, and so jnanis are like in that complicated nature, and the karmis who are in the simple nature, but still they do not have any conception of the spiritual things. They can only think about matter. That's why this matter is mentioned. So for them, these two kinds of people, it is easier to go from their current state to thinking that Lord has form, to consider this universal form.
Okay.
The neophytes in Krishna consciousness, which Srila Prabhupada has very mercifully introduced to us, where Krishna and Bhakti comes in every page of his purport. For us to actually consider Lord in this universal form is very difficult. It's a blessing.
Yes,
It's a blessing of mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That normally people will go step by step like this, understand him like this universal form, impersonal and whatever, but we are directly jumped to the personal form and only directly to path of bhakti. So now to consider anything else which is less than that is very hard for us. So thanks to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, last one, and then we will finish.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, my question is also along these lines only. In text 4, it is written that Lord has very many like mouths, thighs, legs, arms. And why then it is written that the devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of Purusha? This is not transcendental form, this is a material form. And why should a devotee see this form? They
No,
don't
no,
want
there are Mataji two different Virat Rupas which are mentioned here. One Virat Rupa was the universal, the matter, everything. But the second Virat Rupa is having thousands of heads, thousands of legs, thousands of thighs, thousands of ears, thousands of noses. That is not the material form. So that is why the devotees. Sorry?
Like it's like we only, as you mentioned, that Srila Prabhupada has given us this form that she is a Shama Sundar. So my question is that like, along with other incarnations of Krishna, which have different forms, this is also a form of Krishna that
Yeah. Good question. So it is a temporary form. It is not an eternal form which is there in Vaikuntha. There's thousands of heads, thousands of noses, thousands of thighs, legs, and whatever. So the form which Arjuna saw, that was created at runtime by the Supreme Lord, just to show him all of these opulences, because he wanted to understand the opulences, all the vibhutis in personally he wants to see. So Krishna created this form to show him. So it's a temporary form. All these other forms that the avatāras that we talked about, they are not the temporary forms. There are Vaikuntha planets like Lord Nṛsiṁha Dev in his Vaikuntha planet, he is still there. He is eternally present. But some of these forms that like Virat Rupa, the Vishwarupa, especially in that Vishwarupa thing, not Vishwarupa actually, Vishwarupa or Virat Rupa can be actually manifested in two different ways. And there are multiple ways of Vishwarupa or multiple types of Vishwarupa comes in second canto. So one of them is like that, the mountains and planets and whatever. But one of these other one is which is talking about these hundreds of heads, like thousands of heads, thousands of helmets. That is different. And it doesn't say actually that the devotees can see it. It says transcendentalists. So there are different kinds of, is it saying transcendentalists or devotees there? Which verse?
the devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of Purusha,
Yeah.
who has thousands of legs.
Srila Prabhupada has taken that as devotees, thousands of legs. Let's look at the word toward Adbhutam, Sahasra, heads, action, of the Purusha, Rupam, form, Adabhra Chakshusha by the eyes, Sahasrapat. Actually, in the verse, if you see word to word, there is no devotees or no transcendentalist. But Srila Prabhupada has added that to say that the devotees of the Supreme Lord, in one way or the other, they are actually seeing this. But his purport is completely from the devotee's perspective, pure devotee's perspective, that how with the love anointed in their eyes, they can see different the Supreme Lord. But the pure devotees wouldn't be actually willing or keen to see this Vishwarupa. As we saw in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Arjuna said that, hey, this is very fearsome. I don't want to see this. Please go back to your Saumya Rupa, which is the two-handed Shyamasundara form, Krishna's form. So that is how the devotees would want to see that. But if the devotees want, right, like Arjuna, he wanted to see, then he could see it. Right? So that is how it is mentioned, like the transcendentalists or devotees, if they want, they can see this form.
Okay, Prabhuji. So basically, this is not a material form. This is a transcendental form.
This particular one that is mentioned in this verse is not the material form that is referring to.
And if a devotee wish to see this form, they can see it with their transcendental eyes.
Correct. Divya Chakshu, if they get from the Supreme Lord somehow or the other, you are fortunate. Actually, Bhagavad Gita says that those who are less fortunate will get those Divya Chakshu to get to see the form. From like Acharyas explain that it is not that Arjuna got upgraded.
No,
he got downgraded to get this Divya Chakshu to see the Vishwarupa.
Yes.
So, but many of the in general, the view is that Arjuna got something special, and because of that he could see Vishwarupa, so it was a special form. But the pure devotees version is, he was actually seeing Krishna's Saumya Rupa, which is very beautiful, attractive, and original form. He got downgraded to get the Divya Chakshu to see this particular Vishwarupa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
those pure devotees who want to get downgraded and see this form, they can see it. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. I think there are still more hands up. So I'm going to say Hare Krishna now at this point, unless it is just a comment or reflection. If it's a question, please send me as a message. So if there are any reflections, comments that you want to share, then we will take those one or two. Yes, Mahendra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. First of all, thank you Prabhuji for the wonderful lecture and giving us opportunity to hear this from you. Prabhuji, I really like the way you give those examples in between. Like, I don't have to go through a lot of books to read all those things, like different 64 qualities you mentioned, or those Leela Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, Renu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, all those differences you mentioned. So just by going through this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam classes, I'm getting so much of, understanding of Lord Krishna. And you also referred Bhagavatam so many times while going through Bhagavad Gita sessions, and I'm now going through it, understanding those few verses. So that's really thankful to you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I'm just sharing what I have learned from others. Yatha mati and yatha dhitam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Adi Devi Mataji, is there any comment or
Prabhu,
reflection?
very short question. You mentioned that
Sorry, Mataji, we'll just take some reflection or comments. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer it. Just send it to me onto
so
the
it's
personal.
reflection only. It's not exactly a question.
Okay.
I'm just trying to reiterate, asking you to reiterate. You mentioned that Tatra was Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Parshuram was Shiva. And what about Brahma by himself? Who was he?
No, Parshuram was not Shiva, Mataji. I said, like when they came as different personalities, Vishnu comes as Dattatreya, Shiva comes as Durvasa.
Durvasa, sorry.
Brahma comes as Soma.
That was my mother's question. So I'm
Brahma comes as
Soma.
Soma.
Okay, if nothing else, then we will pause here. If there are any questions which are remaining, please send it to me. And whenever I get time, I'll respond to some of those. And Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu, I know I haven't responded to some of your questions. I'll respond them today. Sometimes I feel that, I have seen the questions and I have responded, but then I realized that I haven't responded.
No rush,
I'll
Prabhuji.
respond to your questions after this session. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
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 Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jai.